I spent $12,000 on a beachfront family vacation to prove I could be the generous brother for once. Instead, my older brother found my laptop, saw my $14 million in property investments, and decided right there at dinner that all of it should belong to him, too. I'm Nate. I'm 37, born and raised in Chicago, now splitting my time between Denver and whichever of my properties needs my attention the most that month. If you'd asked my mother, she'd say I was always the difficult one. My older brother, Evan, he's 41 now, was the easy kid, the peacemaker. He followed the rules, played baseball, did his homework, and went to college right on schedule. I skipped class half the time and taught myself how to pick locks when I was 12. Not to break into cars or anything, just to stay out of the house when my parents were fighting. Evan went into teaching. He married Jenna when he was 25, bought a tidy split level in Milwaukee, had 2 daughters, Emma and Sophie, who honestly are the only 2 people in that family I still have a soft spot for. Evan's the kind of guy who likes routine. Same breakfast, same job for 15 years, same Hawaiian shirts every summer. Me, I never wanted that. I never wanted a boss who'd decide if I got a raise or not. So I learned how money works the hard way. Bad roommates, scummy landlords, eviction threats when I was 21. My first duplex was a total dump. I took out a loan I had no business qualifying for, lived in the unfinished basement while I fixed it up, flipped it for a profit, and did it again. Then again. Then again. Some people call that luck. Evan did. So did my mother. They always said, Nate's chasing windmills. Nate needs a real job. But I kept buying, kept selling, rolled everything into LLCs. By 30, I had 8 units. By 35, I had over 40. Now I have 14 million in real estate. And that's conservative. We never talked about it much. Evan and I did our brotherly duty at holidays, a stiff handshake, a how's business, asked in passing. I didn't brag. He didn't ask. That was fine by me. I don't have kids to pass it to, but I always figured when I'm old, I'd set up a trust for my nieces. Quietly, on my terms. This year, I thought I'd try something different. A family vacation, my treat. 7 nights at a beachfront house on Tybee Island, Georgia. Sunshine, sand, and seafood. A chance to play good uncle. I didn't expect Evan to open my laptop. I definitely didn't expect what he'd do next. It started the same way all my family incidents do. Too much beer, too much idle, curiosity, and the worst possible timing. Day 4 of our big family vacation, and I was up before the sun like I always am when I'm away from home. I can't help it. I'll be dead one day, but the property tax bill never sleeps. So I was at the kitchen table, sipping bad rental house coffee, answering emails from a contractor in Denver about a burst pipe. Evan shuffled in wearing his frayed, world's best dad t-shirt and cargo shorts that looked older than his youngest kid. He poured himself coffee, leaned over my shoulder like we were suddenly college roommates again. What's up? He asked, squinting at my laptop like he needed reading glasses. Nothing, I said. Just work stuff. I figured he'd grunt and go bother Jenna about sunscreen for the girls. Instead, he pulled out a chair, sat down next to me, and pointed at the spreadsheet open on my screen. I keep a file, one file, with every property, mortgage balance, equity estimate, tax schedule. It's not a secret, but it's not exactly family reading material either. Evan tapped a line with his finger. This one's in Denver? Yeah. Worth what, 2 million? Little over. He did a little whistle. He's got this whistle that means he's impressed but pretending not to be. He started scrolling. I should have stopped him, but part of me, the dumb sentimental part, was kinda proud. Wanted him to see what I'd built. 14 million? He said finally, turning to me with raised eyebrows. Jesus, Nate. That for real? I nodded. Give or take. Markets up this year. He leaned back in the chair, arms crossed, grinning like he'd just figured out a magic trick. Man, you never told me you were rich. Not rich. Liquid's a different story. I'm asset heavy, cash light. You know how it goes. He laughed, but his eyes were doing math. I know that look. I've seen it across conference tables with would-be partners, contractors with half-baked investment pitches, old friends who suddenly remember my birthday after 5 years of silence. Evan didn't say much else that morning. He closed the laptop gently, patted my shoulder like I'd won the science fair, and wandered out onto the deck. I thought that was the end of it. That night, we did a shrimp boil out back. Jenna poured wine like it was her part-time job. The girls were doing cartwheels in the yard. Mom was telling the story of how Evan once swallowed a marble, and how she still has it in an old baby jar. And then Evan, with a head full of beer and that whistle in his throat, banged a spoon on his glass. Hey everybody, he said loud, enough for the neighbor's dog to bark. Big thanks to Nate for this trip. The beach house, the food, the wine, all on the company dime. Jenna giggled. Mom raised her glass. And guess what? Evan said, swaying a little. Turns out, Our boy Nate here isn't just good for beach houses. He's sitting on 14 million bucks. 14 million. Pretty good for a dropout, huh? The table went quiet. Even the girls stopped doing cartwheels. Mom's lips curled into that polite, sour smile she uses when she's about to say something that'll stick for life. Nathaniel, is that true? She asked, like I'd confessed to arson. It's business, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. Investments. Not a big deal. Evan threw an arm around my shoulders. Oh, it's a big deal. Family money, huh? Right, Ma? We take care of each other, don't we? Evan, I said under my breath. Knock it off. But he was warming up, full showman mode now. He jabbed a finger at Jenna. Jen's been wanting to redo the kitchen. We got Emma's college next year. Braces for Soph. But hey, that's what family's for, right? Nate here's got enough to share. We're all set. Jenna didn't even flinch. She just smiled like she'd won a prize. Mom nodded like she'd been waiting years for this exact moment. I looked around that patio, the flickering tiki torches, the kids holding half-melted popsicles, and I knew right then my week of playing nice uncle was over. They saw my life's work, my broken nights, my frozen winters hauling drywall into gutted duplexes, my bank accounts, as their family slush fund. Just because we share a last name, and Evan, my big brother, the one person I thought would never ask for a piece, had just carved me up like a shrimp at his cookout. The vacation wasn't over yet, but I was. I didn't slam my beer down or storm off, which is what Evan probably expected. Instead, I just sat there, peeling the label off my bottle while Mom and Jenna traded conspiratorial smiles across the string lights. The girls went back to playing, oblivious to how tense the grown-ups had gotten. I looked at Evan, really looked at him. For once, he didn't have that smug big brother calm about him. He looked giddy, like he'd just found the spare key to my life under the welcome mat. Hey Nate, come on, he said, nudging me with his elbow when I didn't laugh along. Don't be like that. We're just messing around. Family joke, right? But it wasn't a joke. Not to him. Not to Jenna, who was swirling her wine, eyes darting between me and Evan like she was already spending an invisible check. Not to Mom, who was quiet, but visibly calculating, the same way she used to when Evan and I were kids, and she'd divide a dessert in half. Except Evan's piece was always a little bigger. I excused myself, mumbled something about needing to check an email, and stepped back inside. The shrimp boil kept crackling outside, the cheap Bluetooth speaker blasting soft country music. I closed the sliding glass door and it was like shutting a lid on a pot I'd been boiling in all week. I went to my room, locked the door, sat on the bed with my laptop balanced on my knees. First thing, changed every password, every bank login, the property management portals, the QuickBooks file, my personal email, all of it, two-factor everything. Then I texted Mark, my lawyer, a bulldog from Chicago who once told me the only way to keep your money yours is to assume everyone you love is going to turn on you someday. I always laughed when he said that. Now I wasn't laughing. I told him, hypothetical. My brother thinks my rental portfolio is family money. Any reason I should worry? He called me 2 minutes later. Not even a text back. Just straight to a call. What did he do? He asked. I told him about the laptop, the toast, the not-so-funny joke about Emma's college and Jenna's kitchen remodel. Mark just sighed. Lock it down, he said. LLC's buttoned up, living trust solid, title docs clear. If they ever come sniffing for a piece, they'll find out real quick you're not writing blank checks. Outside my door, I heard Evan's heavy footsteps on the hallway floorboards. He knocked. Hey man, seriously, open up. Don't be dramatic. We're just talking. I didn't answer. He knocked again. Nate, come on. You know I didn't mean it like that. He did. I knew he did. He meant every word. Maybe not when he said it. Drunk on cheap beer and family smugness. But somewhere deep down, he'd always thought it. What's yours is ours, because that's what family does, right? Shares. Except, when I was eating expired ramen at 22, couch surfing to save the down payment for my first fixer-upper, Evan didn't share then. I waited until his footsteps, retreated, then packed my bag. Laptop, chargers, wallet, that's all I really needed. My flight back to Denver wasn't for 3 more days, but I knew I wouldn't be here for breakfast. The shrimp boil ended around midnight. The porch light flicked off. Evan's voice boomed down the hall once. A half-hearted, good night, little bro, like we were still 10, and I was gonna crawl into his room to ask if monsters were real. I lay awake on the stiff rental. Bed, phone buzzing every now and then. A missed call from Mom, one from Jenna, a text from Evan that just said, "We good?" By morning we were not good, not even close. I was up before dawn. The house was silent except for the ocean outside and the creak of the deckboards when I stepped out to breathe for a second. I stood there with my bag slung over my shoulder, watching the sun crawl up behind the dunes. Part of me wondered if I was overreacting, If maybe Evan was drunk talking nonsense and this was me, once again, being the difficult one, the problem child, the cold fish. But then I pictured that look in Jenna's eyes, the calculation, the hunger. I thought about my mom's pinched little smile, the same one she used whenever she told me family means sacrifice. I knew exactly who the sacrificial lamb would be if I let this slide. I left a note on the counter. Nothing dramatic. Just had to cut out early. Thanks for the company. See you around. I could practically hear Evan reading it in his half-sarcastic voice. See you around? What, you too good for your own family now? The rental car rumbled down the driveway just as the sky went gold. I didn't look back at the beach house, but in my head, I could see them all waking up to find the patio empty, the coffee pot cold. I wondered who'd say it first, that I'd bailed on them. By the time I hit the I-95, my phone was vibrating like it was trying to crawl out of the glove box. First, Mom. Nathaniel, where did you go? Call me right now. Then Evan. Dude, what the hell? We were gonna hit the water park today. Followed by, you're acting insane. It was just a joke. Jenna didn't text me directly. She messaged me on Facebook instead. A half paragraph about how we're family and family helps each other, with a passive-aggressive sign-off about how Emma was really counting on you. Like I'd promised to co-sign her college fund in my sleep. I checked into a Hilton, outside Savannah for 2 nights to wait out my return flight. I ordered room service and sat in a silent hotel room watching cable news at half volume. Every ping from my phone made my pulse spike. Not from fear exactly, but from the ugly mix of anger and disappointment that comes when the people you're stuck with by blood turn out exactly how you always feared they would. I didn't pick up when Mom called the 4th time, or the 5th. By the 6th, she switched tactics, voicemail dripping with guilt about how Evan's doing his best and those girls need you. No mention, of course, of what I needed all those years when nobody answered my calls. The second night, Evan sent one last text before I turned my phone off completely. If you can't even help your own brother, who will you help? That was the question, wasn't it? And the answer, I decided as I pulled the blackout curtains tight and lay back on the hotel bed, was simple. Me. When I finally touched down in Denver 3 days later, the notifications hit like a brick. 27 unread messages, 8 voicemails, 1 Facebook tag, Jenna, of course, with a family photo from the beach house. She captioned it, "Family means everything," but I knew what that was. Her version of PR. Make me look like the missing piece. The cold brother. The guy too busy counting dollars to be part of everything. I didn't respond. I dumped my suitcase on the couch, cracked open a beer, and stared out my condo window at the skyline I'd built my adult life around. From up there, my rental, headaches and taxes and inspections felt almost manageable. I'd built this, brick by brick, bad loan by bad loan, and the people who were supposed to know me best still thought they were entitled to it because they showed up for shrimp on the patio. 2 days later, Evan tried again. He didn't even bother with pleasantries this time. Just called while I was walking a job site with my contractor. Left a voicemail I played twice just to make sure I'd heard him right. Look, Nate, I talked to Jenna and Mom. We think you owe it to us to put some of that money into a family trust. For the girls, for college, maybe something for Mom when she gets older. You don't need it all, man. It's not right you keep it locked up like that. Owe it to us. Like I was holding them hostage instead of holding my life together. I didn't answer. Mark, my lawyer, told me not to. You give them an inch, they'll make you the family ATM for the rest of your life, he said. He was right. He's always right when it comes to people and money. But ignoring them didn't mean they'd go away. Jenna blocked me on Facebook after I didn't comment on the family beach photo. Mom switched from guilt to outright bitterness, sending me long emails about how your father would be ashamed to see you hoarding money while your brother struggles. Dad's been dead since I was 19, the same year I nearly maxed out a credit card just to keep a roof over my head when I got stiffed by my first contractor. Nobody bailed me out then. For weeks, the messages trickled in. Emma even tried once. Sweet kid, reading off a script, asking if Uncle Nate would help her with her dream school. I didn't blame her. She's 17. She doesn't know any better. Evan probably made it sound like I was just being stingy with pocket change. I did what I always do when I need to clear my head. I worked. I visited every unit I owned in Denver, inspected the duplex that needed a new roof, met my plumber at 7 a.m. to watch him snake a drain that some college kid clogged with ramen noodles. It felt real, solid, mine. The family? They felt less and less real every day. Mom's name would light up my phone and I'd mute it. Evan's last-ditch Facebook messages. Bro, let's just talk this out. Sat unread. It hit me then. They didn't want me. They wanted what I could give. The fact that I was flesh and blood was just convenient paperwork to them. The minute I stopped signing checks in their heads, I was no better than a stranger. Fine by me. I'd rather be alone in a house I own outright then loved by people who see me as a bank account with legs. And for the first time in years, I actually meant that. It's been almost 8 months since that shrimp boil on Tybee Island. 8 months since Evan popped the cork on his half-drunk plan to rebrand my entire life's work as a family asset. Sometimes I wonder if he regrets it. If he thinks back to that beer-fueled brag and realizes he killed any chance we had at pretending to be real brothers. Maybe he does, but he'll never say it. Not Evan. He'd rather call me selfish than admit he overplayed his hand. Mom still sends the occasional holiday group text. She signs off with, "Love you boys. Family. First." I used to feel a pinch of guilt seeing that. That old reflex that maybe I should be doing more, giving more, bending so everyone else can stand a little taller on my shoulders. Now I just read it, mute the chat, and go back to whatever roof, leak, or busted boiler I'm handling that day. I keep busy. Busier than ever, actually. I shifted half my Denver units into short-term rentals. Bought a tiny mountain cabin outside Whitefish, Montana. No Wi-Fi, no neighbors for miles. That place is my reset button. If you asked me why I keep expanding instead of cashing out and living on a beach, I'd tell you. Because building this, all of it, reminds me who I am, and who I'm not. I think that's what Evan never understood. This portfolio isn't just real estate. It's the nights I slept in a Civic with a crowbar under my seat. It's the mold I scraped off basement, drywall by hand. It's the cold winters and the bad coffee and the tax audits and the tenants who paid late but trusted me to fix the heat when nobody else would. I'll never let anyone put their name on that just because we share DNA. Sometimes I think about Emma and Sophie. I hope they make it out clean, that they don't learn to see the world the way their parents do. Maybe one day when they're grown and far from that split level in Milwaukee, they'll find my number in an old phone and text me, "Hey, Uncle Nate, remember me?" Maybe I'll answer. Maybe I won't. All I know is this. I didn't spend half my life hauling junk out of foreclosures just to bankroll people who only show up when the checks got a lot of zeros. I still send Emma a birthday card. $50 every year. Enough for a book or a dinner out. Just a reminder. There's a line between generosity and being an open wallet. And it's a line I draw, not them. If there's any lesson here, it's simple. Protect what you build. Even from the people who tell you they'd never take it. Because if they think you owe it to them, sooner or later, they'll come knocking. And when they do, lock the door, change the passwords, and take a vacation, alone.